So the president has been saying for years that he wants to withdraw all American troops from Afghanistan, and he means it sincerely. It's been tough to get it done. The other day, today actually, the Pentagon announced we'll get part of the way there. We're going to cut the number of troops in Afghanistan from 4,500 to 2,500, at the same time reduce the number of troops in Iraq from 3,000 to 2,500. Most people support this strongly. However, many Republicans on Capitol Hill are upset that we're finally close to ending the war in Afghanistan after more than 19 years.
A rapid withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan now would hurt our allies and delight the people who wish us harm.
A rapid withdrawal after more than 19 years. That's rapid, according to people in Washington who measure time in glacial terms. So apparently we should stay in Afghanistan forever. Mitt Romney strongly agrees with that. He complained that troop reduction may not be, quote, a wise decision for national security interests. He didn't explain exactly what that meant. No one knows what it means, but everyone in Washington agrees with it. Democrats and Republicans are united on this one point. Permanent military presence in countries that hate us and give us no obvious benefit is nevertheless vital to our national security. Over on CNN, they had an on-air panic attack at the prospect of American troops finally leaving Iraq.
Who does this? Who drops something like this in the lap of an incoming president?
No one other than Donald Trump. I think what he's trying to do is go through his bucket list, quite honestly.
Who does this, says a 32-year-old news anchor. Who does this? Gil Barndollar has thought a lot about it. He's a senior fellow at Defense Priorities, one of the defense nonprofits you can trust, and he joins us tonight. Gil, thanks so much for coming on. So why the outrage, and how did 19 years get to be too speedy for people in Washington?
Yeah, I think folks have learned nothing. I mean, the kind of people that are largely responsible for these mistakes and these disasters, call them what they are, overseas, haven't learned a thing. I mean, these are the longest wars in American history. You've got guys literally, who are toddlers or newborns on 9/11 who could in some cases be walking their father's patrol routes in Afghanistan. It would be kind of darkly funny if it weren't for the fact we got Americans killing and dying over there trying to accomplish Mission Impossible.
Well, that's exactly right. It's interesting that, whatever you think of the current president, President Trump, he's the first president in 40 years not to initiate a major conflict. No one seems happy about that. Everyone in Washington seems glum at that idea. Why?
Well, you've got people addicted to an idea of American strength that I think kind of comes close to that old definition of insanity of, banging your head against a wall. Yeah, we haven't accomplished victory by the aims we've set out in these countries. Certainly Iraq was a disaster for the United States, for the region, for the whole world. Afghanistan, you can look at it two ways. Either we did what we needed to do and we tossed the Taliban out of power and taught them a lesson and we should have come home pretty quickly within a year or so, or we failed to build a country and we should have come home a long time ago and figured that out, close to 2 decades ago as well.
So I think a lot of current leadership at the Pentagon, for a bunch of reasons, support these kinds of conflicts. But the guys who served there and took real physical risk in serving there, you must know a bunch of them. What's their view of this?
Well, you can look at the surveys, and I think, the last one I checked was, I think, between 58 and 65% of U.S. veterans that were surveyed. I think this was Pew last year found this, higher than the American civilian population. Thought that the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were a mistake on their own merits, on the way they were sold. So I think most veterans, however much they've invested in it, I think the majority of U.S. veterans have gotten rid of sunk cost fallacy and realize it's well past time to come home.
So the people who actually served think that that was a mistake and we should pull back. I mean, why does no one say that? Why are proponents of endless war, which is a very left-wing idea, liberal idea, certainly, why did they get the moral high ground on this, and anyone who disagrees is for a weaker America?
Well, there are a couple answers. I mean, you've seen it. You saw it in the run-up to the Iraq War. It's a lot easier, especially when it's not your sons and daughters, in a volunteer military or recruited military, if we're being honest. If it's not your sons and daughters, it's easy to shame somebody else and to invoke patriotism and to invoke strength. There's not a lot of cost and not a lot of people have skin in the game. That's a big piece of it, and that leads to, we've just got broader apathy in this country towards foreign policy.
That is so true. Gil, thanks a lot for coming on tonight. Great to see you.
Good talking to you.